welcome to this edition of Just Parlays. I'm Jim Williams along with Chris King. Now, we're going to pick up in the show where we began our conversation with Evan Weiner, who is an author, sports historian, and someone who has covered the NFL for the last 40 some odd years. So he is here to talk to us about the Brian Flores situation, and we're going to pick it up where Evan speaks about Brian's role and where he feels the most important part of this case really lies. And that may very well be with the allegations against the Miami Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross. Here's Evan Weiner.
The other thing is, which I think is more significant, in fact, I do a lot of talks. I'm doing a Zoom talk next week in Schaumburg, Illinois at 11 o'clock Eastern time for a private group. And I'm doing the 1919 Black Sox scandal, World Series fix and all that. And at the end of what I get to is, and it's about Pete Rose, it's about some college basketball scandals. Can this happen again? The 1919 fix. And I never thought there would be an owner who would tell his coach to throw a game for a draft pick. And that is what Flores is basically accusing Stephen Ross of. You got to think about this because this is getting downplayed. It's not up there. But there are gambling shows out there, right?
Yeah.
Betting royalty is your tag there. How could you trust? How could, right now, you trust that the NFL is putting out a modified product? And then you got your Jackson thing, the same thing, and then there have been allegations over the years. Well, this game was fixed. But if you're, and right now, the NFL, this is the biggest betting day of the year. It's coming up a week from Sunday, and yet can you trust them to have a bona fide game out?
Well, I think one of the things, Evan, is something that you and I spoke to our old buddy, the late, great David Stern, when he was commissioner of the NBA, and that was about his idea of, rather than allowing teams to tank, they went to the system of using ping pong balls and make it into a draft lottery. So even if you tanked or attempted to tank, you still were not assured that you were going to get the first round draft choice.
Yeah, I mean, but this is, I guess you go back to the 1870s in baseball where you had owners tanking games, and there were owners that were thrown out of major or whatever league it was at that point, National Association, whatever it was. But again, it goes right to the integrity of your product that there are now two people who are saying, well, these games may not be on the level. And you can't have the NFL investigating itself because you'll end up with the Daniel Snyder thing. Don't say anything here, pay a $10 million fine and you're fine. And then yesterday, of course, the Congressional Roundtable, you had Tiffany Johnston saying that basically Snyder put his hand up her skirt and tried to force her into a limo. They hired prostitutes, which, by the way, is nothing I haven't heard before. I heard that 18 in the 1980s that I was covering in the New York area on that sandbar was bringing prostitutes into a training facility to help the players during that time. That was never corroborated, but it was a story that went on. So this is nothing new. And then there was a new owner in the NFL in the late 1980s. His team was terrible. He fired a legendary coach, and there was the allegation that some of the cheerleaders were doing more than cheerleading to get people to buy luxury boxes at this said owner's stadium. I think you might know what I'm talking about. Back in the late 1980s. That was the whisper that went around. Then you had Leonard Toast, who lost $40 million in Atlantic City, who the NFL did throw out, not for gambling losses on his football team, but gambling losses in Atlantic City. They couldn't trust him. So can you trust the NFL to do an investigation of the Flores allegation or the Hugh Jackson allegation? The staffs of the Dolphins and the Browns, they got some PR intern who probably went to J school who could put together coherent sentences to say, hey, that didn't happen here. We vehemently deny it. But it's out there. And it's out there before the biggest crown jewel event. And it's out there with the NFL having all of its betting partners out there and all sports talk radio stations. And even here in New York on Jeopardy, because New York just opened up mobile sports gambling. Can you trust the NFL? Is there a trust issue?
Evan, let's talk for a second about the situation you're talking about. Normally in circumstances like this, as you said, what's the NFL going to do? They're going to rally behind the shield and they're not going to say anything. However, on Monday or Tuesday in Los Angeles, Roger Goodell's got to stand up and he's got to do a state of the NFL, address. And he's not going to be able to hide from reporters because they're sitting right there. So he's going to have some kind of answer.
Well, he could say this. Goodell's, of course, his dad was a senator from New York, took Bobby Kennedy's place. His dad stood up for principal. Roger lives 9/10 of a mile from me, likes to collect paychecks, although you would never know looking at his house. He makes $48 million a year. He's going to make his $48 million because he has to answer the questions. But the answer will be, it is under internal review, and it is now in a legal process, and I can't comment beyond that. And that is well within his right. He is absolutely correct. It's in internal review, and it is in the legal process because there will be depositions and discovery and all that other stuff going on with Brian Flores. So, yeah, I mean, people are going to say, well, he doesn't want to answer it. But if he says something, it can be held against him. And I'm sure that the NFL's brain trust has sat down and said, hey, you know what, Roger, this is what to say. Say nothing. And, of course, he's now got the allegation from the Congressional Round Table that Daniel Snyder was involved in these shenanigans. Jim and I know one of the people very well who got fired, Larry Michael, as part of the NFL's internal investigation. Apparently, there's more to it than we see, or we have seen so far.
No.
But excuse me, Kurt. Funny thing about the NFL, nothing sticks. Really, nothing sticks. Nobody talks about concussions anymore. And I did a thing with I guess it was Brent Boyd years ago. He said, all of us old players are Medicaid. He said, and somebody else told me within that circle, the Bennett Malo circle, that more than $1 billion of taxpayers' money goes to pay for the medical bills and Medicaid of former NFL players.
Now, how much variety do you think there is to all this, Evan? Do you think where there's smoke, there's fire, or is this Flores with a little bit of sour grapes? What do you think the end result's going to be?
He's not going to work in this town anymore. Any town.
This town meaning the league in general.
Yeah, he's got a shield on. I mean, the NFL is very vindictive, extraordinarily vindictive. And Flores had to know that going in. Maybe he just said, I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it. I'm never going to get another job again. I'm highly regarded, but I'm never going to get another job again. And, it's time to take a stand. And Hugh Jackson may get involved. I don't think too many people are into committing career suicide, because that's what Brian Flores did. Because, if you're an NFL owner, and you're a member of what is really a good old boys network, if you ever dealt with it, you know it is. I mean, they don't live your life and you don't live their lives. They do talk to one another, and all they care about is money. And these are, as our mutual friend Jeff Buren, Jim and I, Jeff was my best friend in the NFL with the Oakland Raiders until he retired as one of their legal counsels. It's just all about money. And that's basically it. It's all about money. We'll shut you down. We'll do this. We'll do that. Jeff was part of Joe Alito's team that beat Roselle and let the Raiders move to Los Angeles. But, there's no honor there. I mean, if they can knife each other, they'll knife each other. And they'll do it with a smile on their face and a knife in the back. And you go to places, the NFL, and these people are Mr. or Sir, or, all that because they got money. And because they got money, if they just want to run out the clock, there's no way Flores has that kind of money, and they'll just beat them down. And he's never going to work in that town again. There's no Al Davis there to hire him anymore. Tell me who would hire a renegade anymore. Al's not around anymore. And, he has committed career suicide. As far as the other guys, I'd be very surprised if, I think they may, it's like Kaepernick committed career suicide also. I think that maybe they'll throw him a bone at some point because you got to remember, this is going to be played out in two separate areas. One in the legal area and one in the courtroom of the public opinion. And the NFL can manipulate that message through Mortensen or Shefty or one of those insiders. Because basically, here's the deal with an insider. They trust you. Here's the information. Don't double-cross us. You become an insider. That's how it is. It's journalism 101. I want to be up somebody's rear. Okay, I have no problem with it. Obviously, take a look at those emails with Shefty and Bruce Allen. This needs to be, and the other thing is Disney doesn't care. Disney doesn't care, but the NFL will shape the message through their 6 or 8 people that they rely on, that they give everything to, Jake Glazier and all those other people. And they just put it out there. And so they will control the message. They will try to trash Flores. They will try to in fact, they've already done so. You, Jackson, deny. Because I've been around that league for 40 years. I know how they operate. And, it depends on, Flores, I'll give him a lot of credit. He's got a lot of backbone to stand up to these guys. Because it's funny. Don Fear once told me, when he was the baseball executive director of the Players Association, he says, you walk in, and we're talking about ego about it. He says, you walk in, and you realize that you're up against 24 or 26 of the biggest bastards in the world. And you're not going to be popular going against them. So you better steel yourself for a lot of criticism, and a lot of stuff's going to come out about you. And there's some stuff that I can talk about that I won't, because Don's still working, and about Jerry McMorris and trying to plant dirt on Don. McMorris was the Colorado Rockies owner at the time. And so, you got to prepare yourself, because these guys are going to come at you, and they got a lot of allies in the media, and they're going to try to discredit you at all spots, and that's what Flores is going to face. And even if he's right, he's going to be, there are going to be people going to hate him for the rest of his life, because he's going to burst the bubble.
Do you think?
Now, say that it comes out that he is right, Evan. Could this turn Stephen Ross or Jimmy Haslam into a situation like we saw with Donald Sterling or Jerry Richardson, where the league forces him to get rid of the team?
You know what?
Or no?
It's worse than that. Criminal activity. That's why the NFL, that's why the DOJ has got to get involved. I mean, let them investigate. I mean, that's the court of public opinion, which doesn't matter. The real people that matter are the lawyers here, and the jurors, and the judges. Those are the ones who matter. I don't see, the court of public opinion, Shefty will make sure everything is cool. Mortensen will make sure everything is cool, the insiders. And they'll make sure they bury Flores. I've seen that, right, with Jackson. Well, in the Athletic, he always talked the big game, but he was never as good as he said. I see it right now coming out. And I've been around there. I know how those guys, I know how Joe Brown operated. I know how the people in the public relations department operate. And they can call you at 3 a.m. What state of mind were you in when you said that? I don't know. I was thinking of buying a pizza somewhere. That's a true story with me and Joe Brown after the USFL NFL trial. Joe's the NFL New York guy, and he calls me one day after I did something for our buddy Ted Webb in Florida, and he called me. What was your state of mind when you were on Ted's show? Actually, Jim, if Ted would have given me some stuff, I might have been in an even better state of mind.
This is true. This is definitely true.
But there's going to be a lot of slings and arrows. And like I said, Athletic today, I saw the first against Jack.
Yeah, and Hugh, I mean, I think to the point that the real big thing here is, and you said it off the top, the trust factor, right? That's the one area where it's going to be, the medal's going to be very, very tough for the NFL Shield to say, oh, trust us. When, you see things out there, when you see teams that are, putting subpar products on the field, and you're going to look at it and go, what's going on here? But it's going to be an interesting story. It will remain an interesting story. It's going to be a very long, as you say, and I agree, protracted one. It's not going to be something we're going to find out next week at the Super Bowl where they have some sort of settlement.
No, there won't be a settlement now. No. I mean, that's the NFL. That would be an admission of guilt by the NFL. Mm-hmm. And there is absolutely no way they would ever do that unless they get so battered. I mean, it's like the USFL trial,
right?
Which, the USFL won that trial, but they lost the money aspect. And they had a deal that was worked out because the NFL knew that they would lose the deal, and it was Frank Rothman and Bob Fisk who worked out the deal whereby the NFL would accept 2 to 4 teams, and the teams were going to be Baltimore and Oakland and maybe 2 others.
St. Louis was one of the others.
Yeah, so, and the deal was one guy who became president of the United States because he wanted a team in the New York area. And Oakland could get the Oakland Invaders and Baltimore Stars, and they had the owners in place there, Miles Tannenbaum in Baltimore, the NFL liked, and they had Alfred Taubman, who ended up getting in trouble with Sotheby's and ended up in jail. But Taubman was one of the guys who always was interested in buying the Lions, so he was going to be okay. And that would fill the hole in Oakland and Baltimore, which is what they wanted to do. It's Carl Peterson who told me that on the street, when they just ran into each other on the street while he was working for Stephen Ross. And so the deal was made, but they had to get unanimous consent from the USFL owners. The other owners were going to be paid off, and one owner said no. And that was that. And so the NFL lost some antitrust grounds. The money didn't matter, but it impacted them during the 1987 players' strike. No, that was the lockout. That was the one with replacements. And because they couldn't do certain things because they no longer had absolute antitrust protection. So if it gets really bad for the NFL, they'll try to settle it. So, but it's a long way. It may take a year or 2 years to get to the bottom of this. And anybody wants, a resolution by the end of February, that's not going to happen.
Now, speaking of the USFL, Evan, one thing that I would wonder, and I'd like your opinion on, because obviously you had a lot of detail to talk about Bob Rothman and everybody else, or Frank Rothman, I'm sorry. Did Harvey Meyerson blow that case? Was he the main reason? Was it Trump?
No, it's him. Because when the verdict came down, he was so stunned he forgot to ask the jury what happened. And the judge, Peter Leisure, said, okay, it's over. And it was over. Meyerson ended up in jail, by the way. So did Dan Cooper.
I did read about that.
Yeah, they were the 2 lead attorneys. They ended up in jail. And Meyerson went into business with Louis Kuhn, and they built their clients, and Kuhn ran off to Florida in exile, and Harvey took the downfall on that thing. So Harvey did a great job, actually. Convinced Mrs. Sanchez that the NFL is flirting with Loretta Sanchez, who was the jury foreperson And he did a good job with her. I mean, he was, winking at her, smiling at her all the time. And that's when I learned that 99% of good lawyering is acting. And that, the real lawyers are in the back room doing the work, but the ones in front, the showmen, they're great actors. And so anyway, yeah, Harvey won the case. They won the case, but they lost money. But Trump just, the thing is, Trump gets a lot of blame, which he should. But when he entered the league, took the team over from Walter Duncan, the other 11 knuckleheads in the league, with only one sane owner, John Bassett, as Jim can tell you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bassett said, hey, every week there are going to be 6 winners and 6 losers. The guy who spends the most money on players may be one of those 6 losers. Think about that. And Bassett ran the first-class operation in Tampa Bay. But he had Oldenburg in Los Angeles, who gave Steve Young $40 million, $1 million a year over 40 years, which Steve Young is still collecting. They gave money to people that, as George Young once said after he got Gary Zimmerman went somewhere, he got Bordeaux's. He said, I couldn't believe the contracts they gave out to offensive line. They did themselves in. And Trump just pushed them over the cliff.
Well, Evan,
now, would Roy Cohn have been better?
What was that?
Would Roy Cohn have been better had he not, had
First time I met Roy Cohn, he stunk of aftershave lotion. Couldn't get near him. And he wore socks that matched his eyes. That's my first impression of Roy Cohn. And that was the George Brett Pintar game. And George hired him. And we were in court. And that's the first time I met Roy Cohn, because George hired him after the Pintar game. And George didn't want, George not really wanting to play, and the Yankees would have won, all this other stuff. And that's where I met Roy Cohn for the first time. Third George. I don't know if I told you that story about meeting Roy Cohn for George. I met a lot of people.
Yeah, no, it was the aftershave was Old Spice, because I sat next to him at the baseball banquet in Florida. So yeah, it was. I could tell what it was. But anyway, Evan, thanks a lot for joining us today.
I'm going to babysit now.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. We greatly appreciate having you.
My granddaughter is a Borscht Belt performer. I sent Jim the videotape.
That's right. So tell Roberta we said hello.
Yeah, we were yesterday. She's on with her aunt, whose name is Megan. Right. And I said to Roberta, I said, tell Megan who's on the $1 bill. She looks at Megan and says, Megan's on the $1 bill.
There you go.
2.5 years old, working on the jokes.
That's right. Well, have a great weekend, Evan. And thanks for joining us.
We'll talk on Monday, and Chris, take care. And think about that question if you're betting. Is the NFL a bona fide competition?
That is indeed something that.
That's going to ask right now.
That's going to be a big question. There's no doubt about it. Well, have a great one, buddy. Be well. Thanks for joining us. All right.
Glad to see you.
It's always a pleasure to see you. All right, we're going to take care of some business here. We got a whole bunch of really cool stuff going on for you. So look, folks, queue up your questions. We got tons of questions. But let's first get to all these outstanding deals for you. And we got a ton of them. Let's start with Caesars, okay? Now, Caesars Sportsbook has a brand new offer to winners and whiners viewers from the only sportsbook app that has Caesars rewards, okay? Now, here's the deal. The deal is if you're a new sign-up, they're going to match your first deposit with a free bet up to $1,500 when you deposit at least $50 and use that promo code, okay? There's the promo code scrolling under me. It's also in the show box below. So if you're going to go ahead and bet with this, Caesars Sportsbook, and we highly recommend it, that you give them a shot. If you're a new sign-up and you use their app, then they're going to match your first deposit with a free bet up to $1,500 when you deposit at least $50 and you use the promo code, which is scrolling below. Now, We also have something going on from our buddies at MGM, and here's what they've got going for you. All right. Now, BetMGM has an offer, again, for Winners and Whiners viewers with a great deal for first-time signups, and here's their deal. Their deal is Winners and Whiners fans can get a risk-free first bet up to $1,000 for any new customers, but you have to put a deposit in of at least $10. Okay, so $10 gets you into that deal, and you got to try betting on the MGM app, which we highly recommend, as we said before. You make your wager on that app, and you get the deal. But you must use the bonus code, which is Video Winners there. All of that information, of course, is in your show box below. Now, if you happen to be in an NBA market, here's another deal. This one's from Caesars, all right? Now, Caesars has a deal where for a limited time, for Winners and Whiners fans in the NBA markets, if you place a real wager of $100, then what will happen is that you're going to get, now, you have to bet that on an NBA game, all right? Let me make that clear. You have to place at least $100 in real money wager on a National Basketball Association game during the promotion period, which, by the way, ends on Monday. You're going to get a $150 gift certificate to the NBA store, okay? And there's no promo code on that. You can just go ahead to the promos, hit the link, and you'll be able to deal with that. And you get a good deal with, maybe you want a jersey or whatever. You get all kinds of good swag from the NBA store, all right? And then, as I said before, it's got to be done by the 7th of February, which is, of course, on Monday, all right? And all the information on how to do it and the situation with regard to what limitations you may have is, again, in the show box below. Now, lastly, we have the deal for Louisiana bettors, and that is using the new mobile app from BetRivers. They're going to make a fun deal for you. They're going to match a bonus of up to $250 on your first time using the app, up to $250. So when you activate your BetRivers app and you place $50 in there, they're going to match that bet up to the first $250 in deposit. Okay, so that's all that. Now we always want you to wager responsibly, and every one of these outstanding opportunities that we've highlighted here for you require that you be 21 years of age. Okay, so Caesars, MGM, BetRivers, all that information is in the show box below. You've got all the promo codes and a whole weekend's worth of very interesting entertainment. But as we said before, wager responsibly, and you must be 21 years of age before you can use any of those wonderful apps. Okay, cool. So, Chris, we got a whole bunch of stuff to do here. We'll try to speed it up a bit because of Evan's insight into what's going on with the NFL. So let's go to the big board, and the big board takes us to Fresno and Nevada.
Yeah, that game coming to you from the St. Mart Arena out in Fresno in the Mountain West. Nevada's 9-10, Fresno State 15-6. The Bulldogs are 9-1 at home this year. Wolfpack 1-5 on the road. Nevada has had all kinds of issues defensively. We talked about this on several occasions. They're 319th in scoring defense. They're 229th in field goal percentage defense. They give up 9.8 threes a game, which is 353rd in the nation. They're 295th in three-point defense. And they are facing a Fresno State team that just sucks the life out of you on the defense end of the floor. They're 5th in scoring defense, giving 57.5 points a game. Opposing teams shoot 40.5% from the field, and they don't give up second chances. They only give up 6.7 offensive rebounds a game. That's the 7th lowest total in the country. Meanwhile, they're 93rd in two-point field goal percentage defense at 46.9%. Fresno State 7-0 against the spread in their last 7 as a home favorite. They're 5-0 in their last 5 at home against teams with a losing road record. Nevada 1-9 against the spread in their last 10 against teams with a winning straight-up record. A big question mark for Nevada too, Jim. Grant Sherfield, who scored for the Wolfpack, is questionable. He missed the game the other thing against UNLV. It was only terrible playing with a big center losing to the Rebels 69-8. Even what close I watched and just saw a really disjointed Nevada. They're not going to have any luck going to Fresno State dealing with Orlando Rouse defense. Justin Hudson victory at home for win number 16.
Well, let's go from the West to the Midwest because we've got some interesting games going on there.
Right. In the Horizon League, this game was supposed to take place yesterday, right? Full favor by 4. Barely, the day off didn't change the line at all. Over Detroit Mercy. Wright State's 12-10 on the year, but they're 10-3 after starting the year 2-7. Meanwhile, Detroit Mercy 8-10. The Titans 3-10 on the road. The Raiders are 7-2 at home. Wright State 83rd in scoring offense, 75.3 points a game. They're 58th in field goal percentage. They shoot better than almost 54% from inside the arc. And they're very good at the free throw line, which is something that we talk about. Seems to be good. It seems like mid-majors are good at the line, and power conference teams are not good at the line. But they're 21st in the country at 77.3%. Detroit Mercy 164th in scoring defense, which is strange because if you look at the rest of their metrics, they're terrible. They're 277th in field goal percentage defense. They're 312th in two-point defense at 52.2%. They go 8.2 triples a game, and they're 250th in three-point defense. The Raiders like to run. They're 49th in adjusted tempo at 70.4 possessions a game. Detroit Mercy is a little bit slower. They're 240th at 66.2. The problem with the Titans, other than the fact that they're on the road, and as we see, they're terrible there, is that beyond Antoine Davis, they don't really have a secondary scorer that you can rely on. Meanwhile, Wright State's got 4 starters from last year back. 3 of them average better than 15 points a game. You can't really argue with that kind of production. The Titans are 10-21-1 against the spread in their last 32 after a straight-up win by at least 20 points, and that's because they beat a non-Division I school at Michigan Dearborn the other day. And the favorites gone 9-2-1 in the last 12 meetings. Wright State plays good basketball at home, and they play well offensively. They're a little deeper than Detroit Mercy when it comes to having options on the offensive end. Give the edge to Wright State.
And this is one of those games where.
And Jim's mic is off, and he's talking anyway.
There you go. What I was saying is, quietly to myself, before I wanted to share it with you, is that it seems to me that, and we've had Wright State for a while, that we're getting close to crunch time now because mid-February is when you start to put yourself in tournament position. And, if Wright State's going to make it, they're going to have a pretty quick and pretty substantial run.
Yeah, well, they're 9-4 in the Horizon League, so they're playing well in conference.
Mm-hmm.
You look at their losses, they lost to Akron, they lost to Purdue, and they lost to some decent teams out of conference play. But, they got Detroit, and here's the kicker, because since those games were postponed yesterday, like we were talking in the pre-show, they'll play Oakland tomorrow. So they're going to have 2 games in less than 24 hours in them and Oakland before, they can get the basic Green Bay and Milwaukee. They get 5 or 6 in a row.
Absolutely. Well, let's go on to the next one. We have one coming up, which is also a mid-major. It's Oakland, who we've seen play before. Now they're going to be up against Northern Kentucky, and this is another one of those, quick turnaround games.
Right. This was supposed to be yesterday, and one of them was postponed due to the weather. Oakland favored by 3 on the road in Northern Kentucky. Oakland 16-5 overall. Northern Kentucky's 11-9. 8 of their 11 wins have come at home, but the Golden Grizzlies are a decent road team. They're very good on the offensive end. They're 76.9 points a game. They shoot 54% from inside the arc. And look at that, 5th in the nation by shooting better than 80% of the charities. You don't get much better than that when it comes to Division I basketball. Meanwhile, Darren Horton team in Northern Kentucky, they're 243rd scoring offense, 69 points a game. They're 326th in field goal percentage, 40.5%. They're 311th in 2-point shooting, and they're 285th strike, 67.6%. So they can cut either way. If Northern Kentucky's close and they get some fouls, they can't knock down free throws to close the gap. If they're ahead, they can't knock down free throws to put the game away. It makes for an uphill climb, especially like we said, Oakland shooting better than 80% at the line of the season. Oakland 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 against teams with a winning record. They're 4-1 in their last 5 on the road against teams with a home winning percentage greater than 600. Northern Kentucky 1-5 in their last 6 against teams with a winning percentage above 600. Hopefully, for Oakland's sake, they don't keep looking ahead. Like we said, they're going to play right thing, mark out, get turnaround. I like the Golden Grizzlies on the road.
All right, so that does it for our college basketball for the day. Let's go on to the association. As we all know, tonight is the NHL skills competition, and that's on ESPN, and then on ABC will be the NHL All-Star game. So that's All-Star weekend, and that's reason. No, it's going to be on ESPN. I thought it was going to be on TNT, but it's ESPN. It has it in ABC. So Denver and New Orleans.
Yeah, that's coming to you from the Ball Arena out in Denver. I still call it Pepsi Center because that's what I thought it was up until a couple months ago. I didn't realize they changed the name. But the New Orleans Pelicans are the visiting team in this one. Denver's 28-23, New Orleans 19-32. They're 8-19 on the road. Meanwhile, Denver's 13-9 at home. New Orleans 26th in scoring offense, 26th in field goal percentage, and 26th in three-point shooting. On the plus side, you can say they're consistent. On the negative side, you can say they're consistently bad. So take what you want from that. Denver 15th in scoring offense. They're 4th in field goal percentage. The reason why they're in the middle of the pack offensive team is because they play at such a slow football. But they're supposed to get Nikola Jokic back tonight. He missed the game against Utah the other day with a toe injury. He's probable tonight, so that's a big boost for them. New Orleans 2-6 against Red in the last 8 on 2 days of rest. 1-4-1 in their last 6 after scoring at least 100 points. Denver's 3-1-1 against Red, 5 overall, and 3-1-1 after scoring 100 points or more. Quick look at the injury report. It was updated a little bit ago. It says that for Denver, Marcus Cousins is the only name out there we're talking about. He's questionable foot sprain. For New Orleans, Josh Hart questionable with a knee bruise. Gomez and Garrett Temple are safety protocols. They will not suit up tonight for New Orleans. There'll be a dent in the mission for the Pelicans. And it all adds up to a win for Denver, especially not having Jokic on the injury report.
Okay, let's move on. We've got 2 more games on the hardwood tonight. The Sixers and the Dallas Mavericks. Now, are we playing this in Dallas or in Philly?
Yeah, this is in Dallas. Surprisingly, we've heard about before, the 76ers are better on the road this year than they did. That's right. It's normal. Dallas 16-10 at home, but Philadelphia 17-9 on the road. Both these teams are good defensively. They're 8th in scoring defense at 5.3 points a game. They're 11th in field goal percentage defense. They're 9th in three-point defense. Dallas is 3rd in scoring defense at 103.8 points a night. They're 15th in field goal percentage defense, 6th in three-point defense. The 76ers are 8-0 against the last 8 after an 18th loss. 5-0 in their last 5 following a straight-up loss. 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 as an underdog. Mavs 2-6 against the spread scoring 100 points or more. The injury report does not, if you're a fan of the Mavs, according to the latest report in the league, Tim Hardaway Jr. out for surgery. Kristaps Porzingis also out tonight. Dallas going to put a lot of pressure on Luka Doncic and Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith step up. For Philadelphia, Seth Curry questionable with back spasms. Luke Korkmaier is out with a sore knee. And out with a back injury still. And we don't have to talk about Ben Simmons.
No. There's
Speaking of the trade deadline a week away, will Ben Simmons be dealt before then? Have to see.
That might be a good prop bet.
Sacramento back up.
That might be a good prop bet. My guess is they can't move him, but we'll see. Some teams.
What they want for him.
Well, they just may want a ham sandwich and get him out of there. So we'll see. But that's we'll see how that works out. What's our last game on the association docket for tonight, my friend?
Cleveland on the road in Bud City to face Charlotte. The Cavs 31-21, Charlotte 28-24. Charlotte's 14-8 at home, but Cleveland's been 15-12 on the road. And we're talking about a clash of styles here. Charlotte leads the league in scoring off 14.3 points a game, and 13th field goal percent, fourth in three-point shooting. Meanwhile, they're going to meet the Cavaliers, who lead the league in scoring defense, 2.5 points a game. They're fifth in field goal percentage defense at 44.2%, fifth in three-point defense. Meanwhile, Charlotte, 28th in scoring defense, 114.6 points a game. You look at that. How does Charlotte have a winning record when they're being outscored by 4 points a night? They're 22nd in field goal percentage defense. They're 23rd in three-point defense. Cleveland 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 on Friday. They're 13-4 against the spread in their last 17 against teams with a winning record. Charlotte has struggled as a home favorite, going 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 in that situation. They're 0-4 in their last 4 on one-day arrest. Now, Cleveland let me down the other day when I said they were going to beat Houston and promptly went on the road and sucked. They have 115 points to the Rockets, an 11-point loss. I'm hoping for a better showing from them tonight. Just a quick look at the injury report. Also, by the way, Charlotte will be in action tomorrow night against Miami, so they're playing the first game of back-to-back. Something to keep an eye out for there. In this case, Gordon Hayward is questionable for conditioning after coming off the COVID protocols. Kelly Oubre Jr. is available tonight. For Cleveland, Darius Garland is out with a sore back. Larry Markkinen out with an ankle sprain. We don't need to talk about Rubio and Sexton. Those out for the season for months now. But they still put them on the injury report just so people can see their names.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to know these things. Just before we head off to our 2 for the money and 4 for the show, let's talk a little bit again about our options that we have this weekend for our fans out there. And, we all want to get involved with the folks at Caesars because they're wonderful people. And Caesars Sportsbook has a brand new app that they want winners and whiners folks to enjoy. So here's what you got to do. All right, you go to the Caesars Sportsbook app, and here's the deal. For new signups, they're going to match your first deposit with a free bet up to $1,500 when you deposit at least $50 in the account, and you use the promo code, which is scrolling by there, and it's in our show box below, okay? So once again, use the Caesars app, and if you're a new sign-up, they're going to match your first deposit with a free bet up to $1,500 when you deposit at least $50. And you must use the promo code, which we have for you right there. Now, our buddies at BetMGM have some really cool stuff, too. And here's what they want you to do with their app, right? Winners and whiners fans are going to have the opportunity to get a risk-free bet of up to $1,000 for a new customer only if you deposit $10 and if you use the code VIDEOWINNERS, okay? So that's what the folks at BetMGM have. And one more fun one from our buddies at Caesars. Now, here's the one for them. Now, if you're in an NBA market, okay, you have this opportunity to get some swag and also get involved in winning. So if you place at least $100 in real cash in a wager on the National Basketball Association games during the promotional period, which ends on Monday the 7th, okay, you're going to get a $150 NBA gift store certificate. So you can take that and use it to buy whatever swag you want. So it's a lot of fun. We've got a lot of great support from our folks at Caesar Sportsbook and BetMGM. All of the information is in the show box below. Remember that you have to be 21 years of age to participate, and also, as we always say, please bet responsibly. All right, folks? Okay. So, Chris, let's get ready now and move ahead up to two for the money as we get ready for some pretty interesting two for the money options here.
Yeah, we talked about both these teams from the Horizon League. Like I said, they'll play each other tomorrow night. But Wright State over Detroit Mercy. The Raiders are playing at home. They play good basketball. Meanwhile, Oakland over Northern Kentucky. Old Grizzlies 16-5. Can't argue with anything they've done this season. They're near the top of the Horizon League standings coming into this one. Speaking of the Horizon League, just to take a quick look at the standings there. Just give it Oakland 9, Cleveland State 10-2. Wright State is 9-4. The top three teams in the standings. And, like I said, Oakland and Wright State will face off tomorrow after tonight's games. Cleveland State, they've got a game tonight that we'll touch on momentarily against Green Bay, and then they'll face me on Sunday, so they get the easy part of the schedule. Those of you looking forward, Cleveland State will face IUPUI next Saturday. For those of you fans of the Jaguars, and we're wondering where they'll be next, they'll be at home to face Robert Morris tomorrow. So there you go on that front.
Roland has a question.
I think only shifting half a point is fine. Wright State plays good basketball at home. Detroit Mercy's 3-10 on the road, and outside of Antoine Davis, you can't trust anybody to shoot the ball with any consistency for Detroit Mercy. Their best bet is going to be to try to slow the game way down and go to that snail's pace. But they're still going to have to deal with Tanner Holden and Grant Basile inside. Those two combined for 38 points and better than 50 rebounds a game. Counting Greg Calvin out there on the outside. It's going to be a tough night for Detroit Mercy.
Elliot has a quick question. Besides the fact that he also likes swag, which he said.
The Spurs and Denver, yeah. Well, the Spurs and the Rockets. That line has been moving all day. It started at 3.5. It's now San Antonio by 6.5. I did stuff this morning. It was 4.5. I'm not sure what the big thing is. Moved it so quickly. Jeffrey Murray is listed as probable tonight. He missed the last game. I'm guessing that must be the only thing that's driving him on the injury report and everything else. That Jock Landale's in the concussion protocol. Johnny Booker is out with the full team. But Jakob Poeltl is supposed to be back tonight. I'm guessing those two is driving because what's the line shift. 6.5 seems a little high. I like it better when it's 4.5. Especially with the Spurs playing the second game of back-to-back. They were last night, but Miami. A game that wasn't as close as the 17-point final will let you think. They've lost 3 in a row. I mean, Houston is bad, to be honest. Even though they beat Cleveland the other day on the road, and the Rockets are 7-20 away from home. If it gets much higher than that, I wouldn't touch it.
And so let's go to 4 for the show.
All right. 4 for the show says Iona -12 on the road over Canisius. Rick Pitino's team has played some very good basketball. They're 18-3. Canisius has struggled this year. Even playing at home, I know that Golden Griffins play good basketball at home. They're 7-3. Home team this season, but if you look at the record of the world, they're 3-15. And their best win in the conference is over St. Peter's, who they beat by 3. Peacocks are rated have a rating of 166 in the Ken Pom rankings. Meanwhile, Iona's rated 71, and higher than that in basketball this season. To give you an idea about how well Iona played, they've won 12 of 13. So Iona flipped to December. Their one loss, a 1-point defeat at St. Louis, January 8th. And we know the Billikens are a good team in the A-10. Toledo, -8 over Bolton State on the road. I like the Rockets. They're playing basketball. Todd Kowalczyk's done a great job over there. They just beat some good teams in the MAC. That's the other MAC. That's the Mid-American, not the Metro Atlantic that we're talking about. But, they beat Buffalo. They beat Marshall. They beat Brantley. They beat Charlotte. Toledo's 18-4, and you can't argue with that by any stretch of the imagination. I like them on the road. Fresno State, we talked about. Nevada's terrible on the road. Fresno State's great at home. Their loss was an overtime loss to Boise State. No problem beating Nevada here. And Philadelphia +2 over Dallas. Like we said, Portuguese won't play. Hardaway won't play for Dallas. It's going to be a rough night for the Mavericks in front.
There you go. All right. We've gone 2 for the money. We've gone 4 for the show. And now it's time for our menu. We have a little bit of everything, and you can mix, you can match. Go ahead, Christopher. Tell us about mixing and matching here.
Well, we talked about Cleveland State. They're playing Green Bay. Green Bay is, let's be honest, they're awful. The Phoenix are a fantastic, if you're from a betting perspective at least, they're fantastic. Where are they? I've had so many things, so many tabs open looking at these games. It's very funny. They are 8 on the road. Meanwhile, Cleveland State's 11-12. That pretty much tells you what you need to know as far as that goes. Even with the lines that Green Bay's been getting, they've only had 3 this season. Exactly the best record you want there. Akron.
Down the street from Cleveland. Yeah.
We've talked about the Zips. The Zips are playing good basketball. Ohio, they're too inconsistent for me. They've lost some bad teams. And I can't trust them in this situation either. They lost by State by double digits after they lost to Ball State and Eastern Michigan by double digits. So they've lost 4 or 5 coming into this. It's going to get worse, 3, 5, and 6. As the Zips prevail there. I like Creighton +6 over Seton Hall. That one's going to be a rock night. Both teams are woefully inconsistent. Seton Hall, or Creighton, I shouldn't say, lost to a bad Butler team. They lost the year when they were up by as many as the team. They gave them a 29-2 in the second half. Then they go on the road and they beat UConn. Can't figure them out. Seton Hall, same way. They played good basketball for a while. They started the year, 9-1. They beat Michigan. They beat Texas. Now they're 4-6 in the conference, and I'm not overly impressed that they beat Georgetown Tuesday to Stanford. Really a lot, 4 out of 5, including 2 losses to Marquette, a 1-point loss at home to St. John's. I'll take the points in Creighton in that one. Princeton -2.5 over Cornell in the Ivy League. Went to their game and see a couple of good Ivies there. Princeton, fantastic this season. Cornell, they started strong, but they had issues on the defensive. Could come back to haunt them here. Harvard on the road +4 over Brown. I know Harvard bit me the last time we talked to them, which was against what was that against? Oh, right.
It was against Penn, wasn't it?
Yeah, they lost to Penn. They also escaped against Dartmouth on the road in the color game that we talked about weeks ago. But I like them here against Brown in a battle of colors. Brown's a color.
That is.
May not be a mascot. That's a color. When I did this, San Antonio was favored for. Like I said, I like it a lot better than I liked it at 6.5. But if it gets any higher than 6.5, stay away from it. I just can't trust the Spurs any further than that. Cleveland +4.5 Charlotte. We talked about that a few minutes ago. Gordon Hayward out for Charlotte. And they have struggled at home when it comes to being favored. Toronto -3 over Atlanta. Both teams played a second game of back-to-back. Atlanta beat Phoenix last night. Toronto played Chicago in overtime. Brooklyn and Utah, I like to go over 30 because the other team played defensively. Utah gets Donovan Mitchell back out of concussion protocols tonight. Should be a high-scoring affair at the Smart Home Arena. And Portland -8 over Oklahoma City. I know everybody's wondering how Portland giving points. Well, Oklahoma City is not a good road team. 7-18. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is out in Oklahoma City. That's their leading scorer down to 2. Also out. Isaiah Roby is out with an ankle sprain. Aaron Wink is out with an ankle sprain. Jeremiah Robinson-Earl out with a metatarsal fracture. Meanwhile, out for Portland, Damian Lillard, Nathaniel Little, Cody Zeller, Larry Nance, questionable knee issue. Trendon Watford, questionable with an ankle sprain. I like to think C.J. McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic and Anthony Simons, who stepped up a lot, can help carry the Trailblazers to a victory there. I just can't trust Oklahoma City.
There you go. Very few can. Any final questions to Mr. King before we head on out on this Friday?
Well, it's pretty quiet. Frankly, there was a light tonight.
Sorry?
There's not a ton of it's a light slate tonight. There's not a ton of big games on there.
Yeah, no.
We said the big game.
Yeah.
The best game from a watching perspective is probably San Diego State, Colorado.
Right. Set your alarm clocks, folks. That's going to be a little late game out there. But, yeah, it'll be fun to watch, that's for sure. One thing I'm going to watch, the Olympics have started. Okay, so I know a lot of you are going to be watching some of the Olympics. They started. If you missed ceremonies this morning, they're very entertaining, so you get to see them at prime time tonight. One thing that's very unique that's going to happen over the weekend. Now, the LA Coliseum over the years has been a really amazing facility. I mean, consider the fact that it was built in the 1930s and renovated, constantly. It will host on Sunday the Busch Clash, okay, which means that they're going to race NASCARs inside the LA Coliseum. So that might be worth checking out, even if you're not an auto racing fan. That could be pretty interesting. If you're a golf fan, well, then you're in good luck, because this is the week for the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which is always entertaining. You get Bill Murray, you get all these wonderful, crazy stars out there. Plus, you get one of the most amazing golf courses in the country. So, we touch on as much as we can, but there's a couple of items that I would suggest. That'd be my sports TV parlay. Would be watch a little bit of the golf and watch a little bit of the race, just to see something a little bit different. So, what are you planning on doing this weekend, Christopher?
Well, the
they're working
tomorrow at Echo Road. Mike Krzyzewski goes to Chapel Hill. For the last time. So there's that. I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of college basketball games on the slate this weekend. A lot of good rivalry games. I'll be interested to see how that Busch Clash pans out, because we talked about that before. Trying to drive on such a short track is like trying to pass at Bristol. It doesn't necessarily go well.
And this is smaller than Bristol.
Well, there you go. So that'll make it even worse. A couple games to watch for tomorrow. I'd watch for Illinois, Indiana. You're going to get a clash between Kofi Cockburn and Trace Jackson Davis, two of the things, not just in the conference, but probably in the nation. And you got UConn Villanova as well.
Right.
Panel of top teams there in the Big East. And if you want to see the number one team in the nation blow somebody out, Auburn plays Georgia.
That will definitely be the way it works. The only team that beat worse is Florida. So there you go in the South. But all right, so there's a lot of fun stuff. Come back on Monday, because we're going to start. Sorry?
I said, don't watch the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. We're going to be back on Monday, and we're going to start a week's worth of prop bets on what's going on for the Super Bowl. It's all, we're going to have a ton of good Super Bowl content all next week, so you're going to want to join us. And then, of course, we're going to have our normal stuff, and the NHL will be back. So there you go. All kinds of good stuff, right? So for Chris King, I'm Jim Williams. What now?
James said hit the like button.
Oh, James, buddy. All right. For James, hit the like button and the subscribe button. Greatly appreciated if you did. And don't forget, top of the hour, 3 o'clock, a little less than half an hour from now, Scott and Scott will be here for the Winners and Whiners Sports Betting Network and their show, which is Back to the Window. So by all means, check them out. And we'll be here on Monday again, and undoubtedly a lot of interesting stuff to talk about for sure. So for Chris, I'm Jim. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there. There's a lot of bad weather, so hang inside and watch some good entertainment, whether it's sports or not. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you on Monday, okay?